So, here we go, game number 1 of the third best of 3. Of a best of 5. It's all very confusing, but it's all cool. Basically, these two teams battling it out for third place. First team to 3 points wins. Every best of 3, their players win, gets them 1 point. It's tied 1-1 at the moment, and that's uber cool. Anyway, this is map 1 of the third series, spawning up in the top right-hand position, representing Team Acer. It's Bly. And his opponent in the top left, the green Protoss player from Missing in Action, GrayWarden. Bly extractor tricking as he always does to go 11 out of 10, looking like a bit of a boss. And well, for those of you just joining us now, this of course is the ESL Euro Series. It's the third place match, and so far the games have been very good. Scarlet up against... oh goodness, my brain is frozen. Scarlet up against... Starbuck, that was it. You know when you have brain freezes, that just occurred to me. It was incredibly embarrassing. Starbuck playing brilliantly there, winning the game for Missing in Action. 2-1 in that series. Game 1 was an epic long ZvZ. Game 2 and 3 saw Scarlet go on the aggressive and did not quite work out. Now, game number 2, Nurtio looked a bit more dominating up against Cheese King. Cheese King went for some 4-gate Zealot pressure into an Immortal Sentry in both games, and Nurtio was able to defend. Third map, Bly is going to be looking to take the lead for Acer, and GrayWarden looking to take the lead for Missing in Action. Once again, that early gas coming down just as we would expect, just the one gas. Should see a Cybercore after. Bly able to scout down nice and early that, okay, this is a gateway expand. He went hatch first into that spawning pool, so a different build to his teammate Nurtio in the previous series. He's also adding in the gas, so this is a very different build to what we saw in the last PvZ. And really the key benefit of getting down this gas earlier just means that you get speed a bit sooner. The danger of getting this hatch first is getting cannon rushed, but that is what we see this Overlord for. It's just to see if any probes were busy doing anything dangerous. But they're not, so everything's fine. Spawning pool obviously is nearly completing. The 100 gas mark, nowhere close to it for Bly yet, but he's on his way. GrayWarden should be starting up his Mothership core and also Warp Gate tech relatively quickly now, since his Cyber core is done. And well, everything is looking fairly sweet. He's got his Nexus on its way, and yeah, I'd say this game looking fairly normal. Fallings are coming out. They're going to go and basically pester, just try and be a little bit irritating, but with the Mothership core already getting chrono boosted, I have absolutely no doubt that they'll do very little, if anything at all. If they get a probe, it'll be pretty brilliant. Mostly just a scout. 100 gas achieved by Bly now. Bit short minerals, they're going to start up that speed any second now. And he keeps one drone in gas. That just is going to keep it trickling. He also needs to look to take his third base pretty soon, actually. Roughly about the 5 to 6 minute mark is considered ideal. Ling's just bouncing around, just going to be making sure there's no proxy pylons. They're chasing away this probe, but of course there may be a second probe out somewhere. First additional gateway, second additional gateway should be coming down shortly, and then it's just up to really GrayWarden whether he's going to get down the third and therefore going for 4-gate, or whether he's going to go for some kind of tech. All in all, this is looking fairly normal, fairly safe builds from both players. Bly taking the first risk by getting the gold base. This is not a dangerous move, but it's a bold move. The reason it can become dangerous is due to this cliff area. If Colossi start coming into play, they can just shoot up there and take out the drone line really easily. Airplay as well. Oracles can get in really comfortably and start chipping away at things, so you've got to be a little bit cautious, but all in all, this is fairly safe. The Stargate is going to be coming down. Could be Oracles, could be Phoenix, could also potentially be Voidway. But it just means there's only 2 gates worth of production following this on, so nothing too much to be scared about. 8lings are in production though for Bly, so I'm not sure if he's seen something to make himself slightly worried. It's mainly because he didn't see that second gateway get started. He's just playing it very cautious. 16lings is more than very cautious. That's a lot of lings out. He's definitely expecting some pressure and wants to be playing it safe, so it gets out that lair. Getting these additional Zerglings is fine, because it just means that the third base, the gold base, should be secure. He should be able to keep that up fairly comfortably. There's no queen over here, which will make it a bit more challenging to stop the Mothership core, but the Mothership core against the hatchery is just tickle damage. Couple more Lings going to be making their way over. Of course, the first Phoenix is on its way out. That's going to be a little bit irritating. Going to start chipping away at Overlords. Maybe once Maybe if more come out, then we'll be seeing some harassment. But for the most part, these Lings just poking up. See that there's a couple of sentries and generally just going to pull back and stay near the front just in case they can sneak on by. But all in all, droning. Phoenix now scouted, and this should make Bly feel a bit more comfortable. The Mothership Core chipping away at a couple of Zerglings, but nothing too tragic, really. One probe bravely going to go and try and take a third base potentially there, realising maybe that would be a mistake considering how many Zerglings are out there, and backs away, but it's likely to continue on down. A few Zealots adding into the mix, and now Voidway production started, so just a single Phoenix to clean out Overlords, and then into Voidways. The Zealots moving down, they're just going to be guarding that poor little probe, making sure that the third Nexus can come up. Meanwhile, back at home, Bly is getting down his Hydralisk den, he's getting down 10 more drones, and he's going to start saturating up this gold base. The Zealots chipping away, the probe does unfortunately die, the Nexus gets surrounded, may have to be cancelled here. I'm not sure if the Zealots can deal enough damage in time to pick off these Lings. Looks like they will be able to. The Nexus is saved and the Voidway comes in just to finish off the deal. Ling Hydra is the composition that we're going to be seeing from Bly, at least in the mid-game, and that's such a smart choice in this situation. Gateway units and Voidways are so susceptible to Ling Hydra because there's no splash, there's no Colossi, there's no High Templar with Storm. And that's why the robotics facility is critical to this. We need to be seeing some splash damage get produced quickly, otherwise you are going to lose to a mass Ling Hydra play every game. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this gold base while the two players are just macroing up. The advantage of this isn't only the fact that Bly gets greater income per trip to the minerals and back with his drones. The other benefit is there's less mineral patches, which means that he requires less drones to saturate it. That means that he can spend less lava early on to get the same amount of income. Therefore, more units can be produced, and he's just going to be a bit more aggressive with that. The fourth base also coming down nice and early. That's in direct response to the third getting taken by GrayWarden, because you want to be a base up as a third player pretty much all the time. Spire also coming down now, so we should be seeing some Mutalisks. And the reason Mutalisks are not Corruptors is due to the fact there's Voidways down. Corruptors deal incredibly badly with Voidways due to their prismatic alignment and bonus damage. Mutalisk also deal okay up against Colossi. They can still serve the same purpose there, just less effectively. But for the moment, I'm expecting Mutas will be coming out, and it could still be Corruptors. They're still viable, but you require a lot more of them to be actually doable, and you need to use the Hydras to focus down the Voidways nice and quick. But all in all, this is a bit of aggression coming in from Bly now. He's got a decent army supply, currently sitting up at 47, but Warden sitting in a nice position on that too. The Mothership Core does get sniped down. That's a good little pick off there from Bly. Gonna let him prevent photon overcharges, therefore making any aggression a bit more viable and a bit stronger, especially again since there is that lack of splash damage. One Zealot gets fed to the Hydralisks just for free, maybe making a ritual sacrifice, hoping that it will deter the pressure. But the first Colossus cannot come out quickly enough for GrayWarden at the moment. He needs that splash damage. It's essential to him making it work. The Queens are edging forward. Queens are great against Voidways due to the transfuses, but also while they are quite tanky, they're not armored units. And that means that the Voidways aren't able to deal bonus damage to them with or without prismatic alignment. The Hydra is also great with Voidways since they aren't obviously armored, but they're still pretty squishy, so you need to be a little bit cautious. +1 air attack is coming down at the moment from Bly. We see constant pressure coming through. He's trying to poke and take a nice trade. These force fields relatively good, zone out a good amount of the army and allow for a few resources to be lost. GrayWarden just buying as much time as he can, but with the Colossus out, he can start feeling a bit more comfortable. The Mothership Core has been remade. Its energy banking up, 10 away currently from being able to photon overcharge, but does have the time warp. But by applying all of this pressure, Bly is able to take every base on the map at the moment. He's got his 5th now on its way out. That's already a quarter done. His 4th, not even saturated, in the 5th on its way. The first few Mutalisks are going to be coming through. Mutalisks also good on this map because of the ease they can get into the main, and that's why we're seeing GrayWarden add in 2 photon cannons. Unfortunately, Mutalisks can just come straight through here and start looking to pick off things like that Twilight Council researching blink. May even get the cannons before they're finished, which would be pretty disastrous because only 2 Stalkers there at the moment. Should we see GrayWarden pull back, that would be an open invitation for Bly to move in towards that 3rd. So a little bit of prioritization gonna have to go down here, but if GrayWarden just leaves these Mutalisks, they're gonna tear through this mineral line, as we're already seeing. Bly dealing significant amounts of damage. We do have some Stalkers coming back, but they don't have blink yet. So many probes taken down, 21 already dead. Bly dealing significant amounts of damage here, getting himself a big lead. Takes down a couple more Stalkers too. He's engaging them head on now too. Only +1 ground attack done. Bly needs to be careful with these Mutalisks though. There's a fair few Stalkers here. Just kiting them around, losing a few Mutalisks in the process now. And probably will need to back away. But great damage done there by Bly. His ground army can start looking to move forward now. There are 3 Colossi though, so he's got to be fairly cautious considering that he only has Lings and Hydras at the moment, and therefore would take a significant amount of damage from those Colossi. But the Mutalisks, if they're controlled correctly, can take out those Colossi fairly fast. Zergling's heading in towards the middle line, but not going to do it. The big engagement happening at the centre here. Some good force fields by GrayWarden. Zone out Bly for the moment, and Bly retreats back. The Zerglings that were trying to counterattack or going for the middle line, not able to do much. And now it's actually GrayWarden pushing on forward. He's only down by about 15 supply. Suddenly, without any tanky units apart from the Queens in the composition, we see Bly running into some problems, but it's the Mutalisks in the main base that are dealing all the damage, forcing GrayWarden to go on the aggressive. May see a bit of a strange base race coming through here as all the probes get killed off. We've got Zerglings streaming into the third, Mutalisks destroying the natural, but GrayWarden's entire army is now pushing across the map. Yes, more Mutalisks are coming through. 24 already out, 8 more on the way. That will take us up to 32. But it's the lack of probes that are going to cause the problem. This is GrayWarden now pretty much all in. Has to kill Bly before Bly kills him. Otherwise, it's GG. Whether or not Bly's army can engage against this is going to be quite tough. The Stalker count is at 15 up against 13 Mutalisks, so that doesn't look too promising. But with Guardian Shields, with Blink, with that +1, may work. But for the moment, Bly not interested in engaging. He's just taking down all the Nexuses and is just going to be trying to tear through any production facilities. Not that GrayWarden has the money to produce anything. Due to being more spread out, Bly does have the advantage at the moment. He can try and get as many Mutalisks as possible, and that's really what he's aiming to do. He's got enough lava, just needs to try and pump out some more. Interestingly, getting some drones, so just going to be playing it safe that way. Any units that go down to Broodlings obviously is something that Bly doesn't have to worry about later, but his Mutaflock up to 35, it's very substantial, and with only 15 Stalkers and 6 Sentries to try and deal with that, it doesn't look too promising for GrayWarden. Unless, of course, he's able to kill everything with Bly's and not go for a head-on trade. A head-on trade should favour the Mutalisks, especially if the army is split up. A lot of the Stalkers down here, that exposes the power units, the Colossi getting torn apart, and with this, the ground army and the Mutalisks together should have no difficulty dealing with those Stalkers. There's still 23 Lings and 7 Hydras. The Mutalisks alone now moving in. They do have +1. GG is called, and Bly takes game number 1 of this best of 3.